Match day number 1 over in Qatar has come and gone, and in this video I'm going to rank the performances of each and every one of the 32 nations over in Qatar, from A star to a big fat hairy F. What has your nation got? We're going to take a little look next. That's right, folks, Bam's going to another video today. We're going to rank each and every one of the nations over in Qatar 2022 from their performances so far in match number 1 over in the tournament, of course. Who's going to come out on top with a glowing report, and who's going to go home with, of course, a bit of a spanking. That's right, we're going to take a look at all of it in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe button back to all things Germany related, Blabber Rose related, World Cup related. We're going to all hear boys under one rooski. Of course, we're going to get into that in just a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons, but anyway, from A to Z, here they come. Of course, here come the report cards as well. All right, then, so Argentina, of course, kicked off with that shock loss to South Korea, and of course, it puts them in a bit of a pickle heading into match day number 2. So for me, I think I can only grade them an E. An E at the moment, not great, but of course, a lot of work to do. Are they out of it? No, they've still got a lot of potential still left, and they can even top this group. But for me, it's got to be an E. Over back into Group D, and it's the Soccerinos. That's right, Socceroos. Australia started off with a bit of a spanking against the World Cup winners, France. I think everybody did expect them to lose this one, but I didn't think they were going to lose in such convincing style. Not great for them. A D- for me so far in the first round of games, but fortunately for them, they played their big one. Now, of course, they've got some more winnable games to maybe get some points on the board and maybe even shock the whole entire World Cup and get through to the knockout stages. The Belgians opened up their account with, of course, a win over Canada. The performance, to be honest with you, wasn't the best, but all important thing was to get the 3 points. But if I have to grade them on their start to the campaign, I give it a C. There were some concerns there. Or really, was Canada that good and just Belgium were a little bit fortunate? I don't know, but I think slow and steady wins the race. And of course, if you could just keep on churning out 1-0s in the groups, then of course maybe just the real deal, the real Belgium will show up in the knockout stages. But they got what they wanted, the 3 points, and they'll move on to the next one. But for me, I'm going to give them a monstrous C. Staying on to Brazil then over in Group G. That's right, of course, fantastic start for them. Get the 3 points in the bag up against Serbia, of course. But is there more to this Brazilian side that we saw today? I hope so. I hope we can see the best of these countries, the best of Spain, the best of France, the best of Brazil. Yeah, for me, I'm going to give them an A for not getting the job done, getting over the line, and of course see how they get on with the next 2 games in their group. Cameroon opened up their account with a defeat against the Swiss over in Group G, in what has been dubbed the toughest group to decide, or at least the toughest group to decide who will join Brazil, of course. But an opening day defeat against, and they look good, they look promising in parts. The Swiss just clinical at the end, not great. But what are we expecting from this Cameroons? Are we expecting them to get to the knockout stages? For me, this is a coin flip between themselves and Switzerland. It's now they've got to step it up against Serbia and maybe get something out of Brazil. But for me, poor, not great. C for me so far in Qatar. Switching back over to Group F, and it was Canada, of course. Opened up with a defeat against Belgium, but the performance was pretty dang good. Very entertaining, and if I have to say, the most entertaining team I've seen so far at Qatar 2022. But of course, that doesn't warrant anything better than a B- for me. They think they went into the game against Belgium hoping to get something buoyed on from the performance in the qualifying phase, but ultimately getting 0 points. Hope to see them better up, or at least get some points in the next couple of games, because I'd love to see this Canada team go through to the knockout stages. Next, of course, we have Costa Rica, who, of course, had that nightmare start up against Spain, conceding 7 goals in what looks like an early elimination from the competition. Of course, yeah, I can't really much give you better than an F, to be fair. You ripped open, carved open, and is it actually going to be, again, any better for you as the tournament goes on? So for me, not a great start, an F, and of course on the brink of elimination already. Also, over in Group F, it was Croatia. That's right, opened up with that dire 0-0 draw. And of course, prior to this game, their last match in the World Cup was the World Cup final. And right now, I have reservations for them. Not only getting deep into the later stages, but I've got concerns that they didn't even make it into the out of the group stages. It's a dire performance for them, and a dire begins with a big fat hairy D. Next up, it is the Danes, of course, over in Group D. Not the perfect start. Everybody's second or third favourite nation in this World Cup had a bit bit of a bland start to their opening account. For me, I can only grade them a C-, a very toothless in front of goal, solid at the back, but I thought they were quite vulnerable in their opening match, and they still got a lot of work to do to get out of this group, and they're looking probably right now at the runners-up spot. It's a Group B now, and it is England, that's right, who did flex their muscles and put up a statement result against Iran. 6-2 winners in the end. The 2 goals at the end for Iran kind of maybe soured the scoreline, but scoring 6 on without really getting going, really. I thought they were just in first gear, second gear maybe, and the amount of depth that this team has, I do think England can actually really go the distance and potentially even challenge for the title at the end of it. But so far so good. I'm giving them an A. It could have been a little bit better with that clean sheet, but to be honest with you, I can't fault that. Of course, this Group A is Ecuador, of course, who started with a win, a good win, up against the host Qatar, who we didn't know what we were looking towards on that one. So a fantastic couple of early goals. Put themselves in the driving seat over in Group A, and of course already potentially could get themselves secured over the line with a result against the Dutch. Of course, and not only could they qualify, they might even go in as group winners, which of course could be very, very spicy for the Ecuadorian contingent. So for me, I'm going to go with a B, maybe B+, but I'm probably just going to go with a B. France, of course, kicked off their World Cup campaign with a monstrously impressive 4-1 win over Australia. It could have been much more than that, and maybe they even took the foot off the gas against the Socceroos despite trailing early doors. I'm going to give them a nice polished A+ for them, and I look to see more of this as we get deeper into the competition. How about it then? Of course, Germany over in Group what is it, F or E even, I don't even know, Group E. They actually got myself an F, an absolute shit show. They underestimated Japan here, of course, took the lead and started to take the foot off the gas. They should have won the game, but they underestimated their opponent, and to be honest with you, they didn't really want it, did they? Of course, Japan were phenomenal, Germany were garbage, and they're on the brink of elimination heading into match number 2, and I think this is going to be billed as one of the worst German World Cups in history. Over into Group H, what a thriller we had in the end between Ghana and, of course, Portugal. 3-2 in the end, defeat for Ghana, but, of course, strong, resolute fight back, bit of character maybe. But I think, of course, they are going to be a tough old slog for them to get out of this group now with that defeat. A draw would have been massive, and at one stage that was all square. But, of course, I'm going to have to go for a C for Ghana. This is a hard group. It's bordering C-. They need to be a little bit more tight at the back and hopefully get some results against Uruguay and South Korea. But so far, a bit of bland, vanilla kind of flavour right now for Ghana, but hopefully they'll turn it around in good time. Back over into Group B, and it is Iran who opened up with that defeat, heavy defeat against England, 6-2 in the end. If it was a 6-0, I would have given them an F, but there was a bit of fight in the end with a couple of goals, and Taremi has really shown the world that he is up there with one of the top strikers in world football. Couple of goals, one, of course, open play, the other from the penalty spot. Of course, he's scoring for fun for Porto in the moment. But yeah, that to give a little bit of spark, and maybe there is still a little bit of fight left in the Iranian team. They've got the difficult one out of the way. Maybe that goal difference is going to hurt them in the end, but for me, I'm giving them a big fat hairy D. Wow. Over in Group E, it was Japan who put up a stellar performance, not only to outperform Germany, but take all 3 points. They were electric from the get-go, and they never give Germany a chance to really settle down. Kudos to them. Hopefully, they'll get another result against the Spanish or even the Costa Ricans to get themselves through to knockouts. They might even have an outside bet to win this actual group. So Japan get an A+ for me. In fact, scrap it, an A*. Stellar performance of Japan, and hopefully much more to come. Back over to Group C, and it is Mexico. That's right. Again, not the great start to their campaign either. Big kudos though to Ochoa between the sticks, keeping them in this World Cup with that penalty save. But despite that, they've got a monster task up ahead against Argentina. But if they could salvage something there and maybe win against Saudi Arabia, you never know. They might actually win this group. Over into Group F, it was Morocco. That's right. Of course, come into this for me, probably the out-fancy team, the one that was going to struggle, but they will look good against Croatia. In fact, they look better than the World Cup finalists in their opening match over in Group F. A point to the bag so far. Can they get something against Canada or even Belgium? We'll have to see. But for me, a nice B-, but just lack the goals and the killer touch up top. Go over to Group A, and of course it was the Dutchies. Past the Dutchies with a fantastic win. Of course, a 2-0 win over Senegal. Lastminute.com scoring the goals without the main players up top. And of course, a bit of a fight and desire in the end to get over the line. And 3 points, of course, does it get. And I think it actually gets a little easier for them taking on a Qatar coming at you very, very soon. So that should be 3 points. They should qualify from this. So I'm going to give them a B to start off the campaign. And I think it's only going to get better from here. Over to Group C now, and it is Poland. That's right. Started off with that 0-0 draw against Mexico. They had a penalty, big man on deck, and of course a lot of responsibility on his shoulders still is Robert Lewandowski. He was given the potential to score from a penalty spot, but guess what? He got it absolutely wrong, and of course they walked away with just 1 point. I do I'm a little bit concerned about them going forward, despite having probably the best striker in the world in football right now. I just think at the moment, it's a coin toss between themselves and Mexico to get out of this group. And also Saudi Arabia have just put this group completely on its head. But for Poland, I'm giving them a C for their performance so far in this World Cup. Portugal kicked off with a feisty and sometimes colourful 3-2 win over Ghana. Maybe a little panic stations at the back, and maybe some controversy as well with that goalkeeper. Some question marks need to be raised for that. But for entertainment value, it was up there with one of the best halves of football, with 5 goals in it, despite being a bit of a snore fest in the first half. But 3-2 in the end, 3 points in the bag, a little bit closer to the thing, to the knockout stations, and Ronaldo on the score sheet, amongst others. So there's goals in this team, of course, but just how far can they go? I'm going to give them a B plus so far for Portugal, despite their wobbliness at the back. Over into Group A is the host Qatar, who opened up their account with a disgusting, boring, humiliating, poor, very, very poor and sour defeat against Ecuador. There was no fight, there was no desire. Do they actually want to play at this World Cup? A lot of hopes and dream was put on, so maybe they were stage fright, I don't know. But not great start for them in their opening game, of course. How can they turn it around in the next games against Senegal and the Dutch? I don't know. I think the nation just wants that victory. They just want a goal. But right now, after that display against Ecuador, I feel for them. I'm giving them an E. It's not an F, but it's an E. They've got it all to do in the second. Over to Group A, and it is Africa's very own champions. That's right, Senegal. Took on the Dutch at the first time of asking. Tight game. They looked like they were going to get a point, but and a point would have been massive and a great start for them. But they collapsed at the end. 2 goals conceded to put them in a bit of a pickle. But a good games up ahead. They had the most difficult one, but I'm giving them a C- right now. But I do anticipate them to step it up in the final 2 games and still potentially qualify as runners-up. Back over to Group C, and wow, how can you top this performance? Saudi Arabia with the performance of the week for me, defeating Argentina, one of the favourites, and doing it as a team. Hervé Renard, the coach of the week as well for me. Top bills, and of course they've put a right top spanner in the works over in Group C. I'm giving them an A star for their performance so far. That's the top of the pops here. You cannot better than that. And of course that's the most difficult one of the competition for them. The next couple of games they need a point, maybe another win to guarantee a passage through to knockout stages. They could even actually win this group. But top staff, A star all the way. Well done, Saudi Arabia. Now Serbia, of course, coming at you with a defeat against Brazil. Not great, was it, to be fair, but you know what? They still got potential, and of course, this was a free hit for them. They were always expected to get beat by Brazil. It's just the manner of that defeat. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Of course, Brazil are Brazil, and of course, the Serbians will be looking forward to the next 2 games. It's all about getting the goals, getting the points, get the confidence back, and of course, hopefully that's quick off the mark. I'm going to give them a C, just a flat C for this, because everybody thought it was going to be a defeat, so there's no difference there. Over into Group H now, it is South Korea, of course, who were a little bit hard done by to get just a point against Uruguay in what is going to be a very, very tight group. They lack that killer touch in front, but of course, on paper at the start of this, I would have fancied Portugal and Uruguay to be the top 2. South Korea giving themselves all the chances now to get through to the knockout stages with a point against Uruguay. B- for me, just knacking those goals up top. Over into Group E, of course, we have Spain, and they put an absolute statement result against Costa Rica, 7-0 in the end. I'm giving them an A+ up there with the best performance. Why not an A star? Because it was Costa Rica, to be honest with you. If it was a Germany or Japan or a team of more expectation or more difficulty, then of course you would get an A star. It was phenomenal though. One-sided football all the way, and they did not feel any sympathy for their opponents. They just took it to them. them, scored a buttload of goals in the first half and just continue to do it in the second half. So well done to them. Are they contenders? Yes. Do they need a striker? Heck no. A plus for Spain, and they look the real deal. Moving back into Group G, we go with the Swiss, that's right, who opened up their account with a win in probably one of the boringest games so far for me against Cameroon. 1-0 win, job done. Of course, points to the back, that's all it counts at this stage. You start off slow and then you really get into it. And of course, it was very slow, very pedestrian, and of course, very dire in the end. But a B minus, and actually I'm giving them a B for Switzerland so far in this World Cup. But of course, it's all about getting the points in the bag and get through to knockout stages. So far, so good for them. But what's around the corner? We're into Group D, and it is Tunisia. Wow. Their performance actually in their opening game against Denmark was pretty solid. I saw a lot of positives from their game, and I think the extra man, that being of course the faithful, the Tunisian faithful in the crowds, have really buoyed on their performance. They were in that game. They were a little bit hard done by not even to win it, but of course just picked up a point in the end. And I tipped them to be strugglers in this group, but ultimately a B minus so far for their start here in Qatar 2022. And of course the United States, that's right, opened up with that draw against the Welsh over in Group B. Good first half performance, pretty shitty second half performance, and of course left themselves a bit of a mountain to climb to get out of this knockout, into the knockout stages. England are next, of course Iran are waiting in the wings as well. I think 4 points might be enough. Goal difference is going to be the key component here, but so far I'm a bit upset, a bit disappointed with the US. I'm going to give them a C minus right now. I did expect one or the other between themselves and the Welsh to come out on top, but a board draw probably about right in the end, but still got it all to do in the next couple of games. Back over to Group H, of course, and it was Uruguay not getting only a point against a resolute South Korea side, a Uruguay side that I feel can actually go far in here, and I've even put them at one stage in this build-up as far as the semi-finals, but of course they've got to get out this group stages, and right now that killer final ball or that final touch is missing. I'm giving them a C for their performance so far in Qatar 2022, but of course the next games against Ghana and Portugal are going to be absolutely massive if this team is going to be recognised as one of the best from Uruguay's production line. In Group B, and it is the mini part of Britain. That's right, the Welsh, who started off their campaign against the United States. A bit floppy, a bit sloppy even in the first half. Second half, they really stepped it up, and the big boys were major players for them, getting a point out of the United States. I don't think much is expected of them. I think they do have hopes and dreams of getting the last 16, but I'm giving them a C minus right now. I do think their performance was not worthy of the victory. A point was probably fair, but I did have bigger aspirations for them against the United States. But now they're going to play Iran and then, of course, England to wrap up their potential. Can they make it through to the last 16? They've got it all to do. There you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. Of course, match day number 1 is done and dusted. And of course, we ranked each and every one of the nations so far in Qatar 2022. Do you agree or disagree? As are nations that have kind of given a better report than you would have expected. Let me know down below. And of course, we'll look forward to maybe doing this again after match day number 2. Of course, until then, guys and girls, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell. We go again. Non-stop content all the way through to the final. Of course, if you could give some love and on to the videos and the streams, I would appreciate it. But until then, guys, we're hanging out.